So this is opensourcearchitecture.org. This is a monthly recording, replacing a monthly recording we made that didn't work. Everyone knows this is public. So Antonio, if you just say what you're here to talk about and go for it, and we can take some questions later on.
Okay. Today I'm gonna talk about IFC.js, which is the JavaScript library I have been working on the last 3 months, more or less. And I'm just gonna present. Don't hesitate to stop me if you have any questions. And anyway, in the end of the presentation, obviously we can start a discussion or a conversation about whatever you like or whatever question you may have. So IFC.js, turn any browser into an IFC viewer. This is something that actually the Twitter account of OSArch said, and I really liked this sentence, so I stole it for myself as a title for the presentation, because I think it actually reflects really well the power of this library, even though this library is not only for IFC viewers, but it's something that you're gonna see in a moment. So right now we are 4 people. I am Antonio, this guy, but there are also 3 people that contributed to the library. If you go to the GitHub repository, you're gonna see them in their pull requests, and they're ordered from left to right according to the level of collaboration. Okay, like how much they collaborate. Right now, I'm working with Don a lot to reach the first version, because you have to bear in mind that this library is not finished yet. We are close to have a version 1.0, but we are not quite there yet. We are able to open a lot of IFC files, but you're gonna see today that there are some things that are still missing, and we hope that we will reach that point within the end of February or something like that, I would say. But yeah, we will talk about this throughout the presentation. So today I will try to answer these questions regarding the library. What is IFC.js? What it is? Why did I do this library? Who can use it? Who is the user? Which professionals should be interested about this library? I'm gonna talk. I'm not going to go into the detail a lot, because I'm aware that in this presentation there might be a lot of people that doesn't know how to code. But yeah, how does the library work? When will this be ready? And in the end, I will talk about whether if you want to contribute to the library, where can you contribute, and where can you learn more or gain more information about the library. So IFC.js is a library that converts any browser into an IFC viewer. But it's not only that. Actually, this is a little lie. It's a library that allows developers to easily create open beam tools that use IFC files as input or as main format. The library actually has 2 legs, or two parts. The first part is parsing, which consists of reading the IFC line by line and converting this information into JavaScript information, a JavaScript object actually that is loaded in memory. And then with this, or a JSON if you prefer, it like converts the IFC to a JSON. And then with this information that is loaded in memory, it generates the geometry that is contained within the IFC file. So in the end, the consumer or the user that uses this library will have easy access to the information of the file and also the geometry that is generated. So you will be able to, you will see now that you will be able to work with both things. This library is constructed on top of 2 other libraries, which are open source, I think, both of them. Chevrotain.js, which is the library I'm using for parsing. This is a parser generator for JavaScript. And I'm also using 3.js, which is a library that people uses to see geometry in the browsers without needing anything else. Using these two things, I construct the two legs of the application, and I bring this together to build what you're going to see today. And the idea is that you will be able to use my library to build your own applications really easily. Or, for example, if you want to show IFC information in browsers or in other platforms, you're going to be able to do that really easily using the API of this library. Why did I start this project? Actually, it was for fun, because I've been programming for a year and a half, more or less, and I was getting into JavaScript, and I wanted to get started with a fun project. And because I'm an architect, I really wanted this project to have something to do with BIM. And yeah, I found this topic really interesting and started with the project. It was also for learning JavaScript and IFC in general. And I really think that this library is a step forward for the democratization of OpenBIM, because I'm aware that there are other libraries. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but I think that this library really makes it really easy to develop OpenBIM applications without having to fight with the IFC documentation or IFC details, which is something that is really hard and time consuming. A lot of people has asked me this question, like, okay, it is really cool that you're doing this library, but how is this library different from other libraries? What makes this better or worse? In 2 words, I like to say that it's like geometry anywhere. Geometry because it doesn't only generate information, it also generates the whole 3D scene that you can directly consume really easily thanks to 3.js. And also anywhere because I'm using JavaScript. This library is 100% JavaScript. And this means that, I'm going to talk about it in a moment, but this means that this is useful for building any kind of application. You can build web applications, you can build Windows and Mac applications. We will see that now. Using 3.js makes the geometry that the library generates fully customizable, meaning that you can control the level of detail, you can control the materials, the aspect of the geometry, and obviously how the general scene is lit. If you want this to be brighter or darker, or if you want this look like this only line, like hand-drawn look, you can do that really easily. I'm gonna show you now. So in the end, the good thing about this geometry is that it is really flexible to adapt to the needs of the user that is consuming the library. So just for a quick demonstration, again, I don't want to go into detail because I'm aware that a lot of people here doesn't know how to code. But this is the library. Okay, I'm gonna really quickly open a window. Okay, this is a scene. This is the basic example you can find in the library. Okay, I'm opening a basic example, which is a demonstration about how to use this library. Okay, if I open a file, any file, I don't know, I'm gonna open a small file. For example, this one. Okay, you say, yeah, it's nice. I see all the information that contains that IFC, but you may not like the color of the windows, or the fact that the edges are shown, or the light of the scene, or any of the things that I show you here for demonstration. You may not like that, but again, because this is 3.js, in the API which we are constructing right now, you could go to the scene settings, okay, and if I go to the materials, here you will see a list of all the materials that I'm using. And again, my intention with this is not to show you how this works in detail, but to show you how easy it is to change this. I can select all the materials and make them basic, And I'm gonna select the color to make it white, for example, and then I'm gonna make all the lines black. And finally, I'm gonna take the transparent materials, which are these guys here, and the color is going to be white as well. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, you see that now we have this look that is completely different, and yeah, this is fully customizable. I mean, I can obviously open a bigger file, and you will see that this this can look however you want it to look. Okay, so yeah, this is one advantage, how easy you can edit the look and the appearance of the generated geometry in a second or two. And another interesting thing, actually, I'm gonna undo these changes. Another interesting thing is that, it's fully built in JavaScript, as I told you before. And you might ask, okay, why is JavaScript a big deal? Why is JavaScript, better in some ways than perhaps, I don't know, Python or C# or C++, which obviously each language has its own advantage. JavaScript is the language of the browsers, okay, of internet browsers, meaning that you can run the applications that you make with IFC.js in any browser and also in any operative system, because there are frameworks that allow you to run JavaScript directly as native applications, both in Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and so on. So the good thing about this library is that you can actually choose your architecture, meaning that another libraries, for example, if you have something in Python, you are forced to bring the IFC logic to the backend usually, and then somehow you depend on the communication with the server. You cannot have everything in the browser directly as a web application. This library allows you to do that, and in the end you can choose whether you bring the whole thing to the backend or some things to the backend or everything in the front end. This might sound a bit strange for people that doesn't code, but yeah, the idea is that this is much more flexible. You can build your applications however you want, and yeah. And another advantage, yeah, it's that it's fully compatible with the JavaScript ecosystem, which allow you to use any framework. You can use Angular, you can use React, Vue, React Native, Electron. So yeah, and you may ask, okay, how can I make an app using IFC.js? Because this might sound really, really appealing, but maybe even if you're a programmer, you might be wondering, how can you actually build an application using this? And for that, I prepared a really, really basic example that I'm gonna give you today. You will be able to download this. This is something I prepared, and this is like, it is open. I cannot edit this, but yeah, this is something that I prepared, and it is like a Hello World example, an IFC viewer using this library, and we see some interesting things already. This folder contains everything I need for the IFC viewer. And this is less than 3 megabytes of size, which is really, really light. Obviously, you can use this to build any kind of application, but one advantage of this is that it is really, really light. Okay, so this is, if I open the folder, this is what I see. I'm just going to open it really, really quickly in Visual Studio Code. Again, I'm not going to go in detail in the code, but what I'm doing here is I am creating a really, really basic HTML. I am creating a really basic 3.js scene, because again, this depends on 3.js. Okay, so you need to be familiar, or at least you need to know how to create a scene with 3.js. This is really easy. I can give you references on how to do this, but you see that in less than 100 lines, and these are lines that are really, really easy. I'm creating the renderer, the lights, yeah, and then simply calling my library, okay, the ifc.js, there's a function that is load IFC, and you give this function the IFC as text, and it gives you back the object that you need to build the scene, and also with all the information of the IFC. So if I start this application here, okay, it's the same. It's the same user interface. I didn't work that much, but my idea is that you can work with this however you like. And if I open a file, let's actually open a bigger file. For example, for projects, this one, for example, let's see how this behaves. So this example is really simple. The only thing that I'm doing, I have created some logic for being able to pick objects in the scene using the mouse, and then with this information, I am logging that information in the screen. Okay, console.log picked object.data. So with that, let's see when this opens. With that, I'm able. Okay, this is the Revit sample house. Okay, I have all. We already support all these objects, all these types of geometries. So here, I can actually open the Chrome Developer Tools, which is something that you see if you press F12 in Google Chrome. Okay, I have this customized, so it's dark mode or dark appearance, but with F12 you will see this. Whoop, sorry. So now, if I click on any object, let's actually make this like this, so we are able to see both things. Yep. So I have clicked that, and I see here the log information about this instance, which in this case is a roof. And here you see everything. You see the type of roof, the name of the roof, all the properties of the IFCs that are contained here, and also the geometry. Here you see the geometry that you are pointing to. Okay, this is a mesh, a 3.js mesh, and yeah, this is something you can work with. This is something, in this case, I'm just logging this to the console, but you can take this data and do whatever you like with it. You can build menus using HTML and CSS. You can send this to a server or do whatever you like. And yeah, this is actually an IFC viewer that is less than 3 megabytes and run fully on the browser, which means that I can actually run this in my phone exactly the same way that I'm running this here. This is something really easy to do. And actually, let's do that. Let's see how something like this can run on the phone. I'm gonna connect my phone and I'm gonna try to access. Okay. I think it's this. Don't worry about this. This is the software I'm using for watching the screen on my phone. Okay, don't worry about the URL. But yeah, the idea with this is that because these are web applications, these are fully supported by any phones. In my case, my phone is really old. Oh, maybe. Okay, let's see if I can get this working. Otherwise, we can move on. Let's close this. Close this. 168. Okay. 192.168.1.11. Yep. HTTP. Whoop. Whoops, sorry. Double. Yeah, it's working now. So yeah, what you see is the screen of my phone. This is a bit laggy. It has some lag because of the software I'm using is on Wi-Fi, not cable. But if you do this in your phone, you can actually see the deployed examples that are already working in the web. In this case, if you access this URL, this one, agviegas.github.io IFC.js examples 01, 02, or 00, you will be able to actually, I think I'm loading the big example, so it's taking some time. But again, this is flexible. Right now, I have converted my phone into an IFC viewer, and it is doing this using the browser only. Obviously, if I consider that perhaps the phones are not the most powerful devices to do that, I can bring this task of parsing the IFC to the backend or to the server, and then send the information directly to the phone, so it doesn't have to load everything by itself. I mean, I can split the code in, So here you see the scene, and even though it is really smooth. Okay, I can move around. This also supports making like the rotation. So if I rotate the screen, this should update. And again, you should see this with more smoothness that you see in the recording right now. Okay, but and it's exactly the same. Any device, and my phone is really old. Okay, like any device, and really easy. So anyway, some days ago I started a Discord server that you can join if you have any question about this. Like, okay, I want to build an application, but I don't know how to get started. Please talk to me. I can guide you. I can give you the references. I can help you out. And do not hesitate to contact me or any of the other participants of the library, so we can help you out with this. And here I just wanted to show different examples of things that you can do with this library. For example, you can build serverless web applications only using the browser as the IFC viewer. Obviously, you can rely on a backend database. You can send the information back and forth. You can build native applications using frameworks like Electron that allows you to build JavaScript native applications. In fact, Visual Studio Code, which is the tool that I use to program, this is built in JavaScript and Electron, so you can do exactly this, but constructing an IFC viewer or OpenVim application or whatever you like. And you can split things. You can perhaps have a Node.js server making all the process, like parsing the IFC and generating the geometry, and then send the information to perhaps React Native applications or Electron applications. So in the end, you can do anything with this. You are not forced to use a specific architecture or schema. Who can use this library? Well, obviously, this library is as any other library, is especially for developers to build applications. And with it, you can do a lot of things. You can create BIM viewers, BIM modeling software, modeling the geometry that this library generates, BIM checking or federation software. You can also build data analysis using the information that this library provides. For example, you can access to all the quantities of an IFC or all the so you can build pretty much anything that has to do with the information contained in the IFC file. I think that there are actually a lot of use cases of people that might be interested in this. Perhaps, I don't know, manufacturers that want to see their products directly on their web page and make them interactive and to be able to see the information of the BIM model. In this case, you can make this using this library and make all the product catalog available in the web page and be able to click and see information. Or constructors, also users, because a lot of times it is really hard for users to know what's going on in the in a Beam project. With this library, any browser is an IFC viewer, meaning that you can actually send the IFC to your client or to the end user, and using the browser, he will be able to see what's going on inside, the information, and the same way that any browser is able to read PDF files, any browser will be able to read IFC files. And obviously other developers that want to build other more specific features on top of this. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of use cases that can take advantage of the functionalities of this library. And about when will be IFC.js ready? This library, I think it has more or less 3 months old, so it's really young, but we are really close to support the majority of entities contained in IFC 2x3. And as you may know, IFC 4 is just an extension, or more or less an extension of IFC 2x3, meaning that once we have that, supporting IFC 4 will be very easy, or easier than implementing this. So I am really optimistic. I think that this winter, or at least before spring, we will be able to support IFC 2x3 fully, and hopefully IFC 4. I don't want to make any promise, but yeah, this is going really fast, and I think we are really close. So if you want to contribute to this library, because it's open source, the first thing you can do is try it, download it, fork the repository, ask me any question you have about it, report any issues or bugs, like, hey, I have an IFC and this library is not opening it, so we can solve them and make the library better and stronger, give feedback and suggestions, and build cool things with it and spread the word. If you build anything with the library, you are not obliged, but I would really thank if you show it around and say, hey, look what I built using this library, so other people know the library. And the more people know it, the more people use it, the faster we will be able to have things going. And also, if you are a programmer, or if you want to get into programming, do not hesitate to ask me or ask any of other member of the team, or join the Discord channel to code, because I know that this might sound intimidating, but I have been coding for less than 2 years, and I can tell you that it's not something it's not hard. It's just a matter of sitting down and learning how to do it. So if you really want to get into code, or you are beginning, or if you are an experienced programmer and you want to get into a cool project, please contact us and we will be happy to have you in the team. And yeah, these are the links in case you want to know more. Actually, there's one missing, the Discord channel, which is very new. Basically, if you go to the GitHub repo, there's a tab for discussions. Here you can ask anything you like. Here you can start conversations. For example, here we have Andre, which is a programmer that is getting involved in the library, and he's implementing web workers for making the library faster. So here you can start a conversation, bring new ideas, give feedback, and here we can comment anything. For example, here he made a video comparing the velocity of his solution using this library with Revit and with Solibri. So yeah, this is really informal. Don't be afraid to ask, to comment. And also, if you use it, obviously, and find errors, do not hesitate to come here to the Issues tab and write some issues or bugs or whatever you find. If you are curious about 3.js, because you need some 3.js knowledge to get started with this is the best page that I found. This is the page I learned 3.js with. And here you will find a lot of tutorials that will help you with getting started with the library and see how things work. It is really easy, really high level geometry. So again, I encourage you to come here and try it. And yeah, if you are interested in joining the Discord channel, perhaps I can create an invitation right now and drop it in the chat, just in case there's someone that is not in the channel yet and want to get into it. And yeah, that's actually all. So if there's any question or any doubts, perhaps we can answer them now. Duncan?
Yeah, so there was a question earlier. Yeah, Lalia was asking if you can model directly in... Otherwise, can you model with Three.js? I think, Lalia, do you want to put your question yourself?
Okay, can we do modeling with Three.js? Yes, you can do modeling with Three.js. Actually, really recently, Three.js released an editor, which is a modeler they have built using exclusively Three.js. This is a really simple example, obviously, but you can create geometry, edit geometry. Yeah, if your question is, can I construct a 3D modeler using Three.js? The answer is yes. If your question is, can I model geometry with Three.js? Obviously, this is exactly what I'm doing in the library. I am taking the IFC information, I'm modeling it programmatically using JavaScript in the library. So yes, the answer is yes.
I believe the question was about the creating IFC geometry directly in the browser.
Well, IFC is an exchange format, okay? It is a file that you generate to bring information from one software to another software. So you cannot actually generate IFC geometry inside an application. This is something you generate when you export the information. If I don't know if I understand the question correctly. You can, the library generates geometry. You can edit this geometry if you like. And obviously, I haven't implemented this because this would be actually a whole another library, but maybe in the future I do an exporter so you can take all your modifications and export them back to IFC. But for the moment, this is just a importer or a loader, not an exporter. So yeah, anytime.
But as far as editing data, there's no technical reason why you wouldn't be able to, though, right?
Yeah, actually, I think that the IFCs are immutable by definition. So the idea with them is that it is a picture of the state of the data that is meant to be generated by a software and be loaded by another software, but you are not supposed to edit an IFC. If you want to
disagree.
If you want to make modifications, you want to generate a whole another IFC.
If you read inside the IFC specification, you will see that you have read writes, read only, and everything required to be able to read and write IFC file. It is only the how it is used right now. But for example, what is Diane Moult is working on currently is to edit the IFC file from Blender, for example. So it displays the geometry, but it reads the data from IFC and it writes the data directly to the IFC. So it's only a matter of how you use it, but it's not a specification limitation.
Okay, yeah. In this case, you have the information and you have the geometry, and because this is Three.js geometry, you can edit it. Okay, but yeah, you cannot export it again because this is something that would belong to another library. But yeah, you can edit whatever you like here.
Great. I think last time I asked you what sort of applications you see for this. You've talked about manufacturers maybe using it to show content on their websites. Can you think of any other? Have you heard of any other application that would be particularly well suited to a JavaScript library?
Yeah,
And it's very lightweight. That's the obvious thing.
I think that the limit is on the limit of information that an IFC can contain. Imagine that you want to make an application to, I don't know, to see if a building fulfills the regulation for the fire protection, for example, or fulfills the regulation for, I don't know, or perhaps you want to measure the quantities of a building to see how much money it costs to, cross the quantity information with price databases, or maybe you want to, I don't know. I really think that there's no limit in this. You can do whatever you like because you have access to all the information that the IFC contains directly in JavaScript, which is obviously much easier than attacking the IFC file directly. So yeah, if I don't know, I think that this model doesn't have quantity information, but again, if I click on any element, in this case I have clicked on that column. Let's see what we have here. For example, here I have the column type, which is column type whatever. This is in Spanish concrete, round column, 300 centimeters. And here we have the property set, so you can access all of this information and see what's inside and traverse it, and yeah. In the end, the objective of this is making this accessible to the developers. And in fact, here this is just for developing purposes. But here, if you remember, before I said that this library, there's a function which is load IFC. This is the only function that the library has, and you give as argument the IFC, and it gives you an object back with all the information that you need. And this is the object that is giving me back. Okay, I'm logging it in the console. Here you see the IFC project, which has obviously a reference to the IFC site, which has a reference to the IFC building, which has a reference to the, here you have the whole spatial structure of the IFC. You can traverse it, you can access all that information, all the parameters. Whenever a parameter is a reference to another entity, for example, the owner history, you will be able to access this separate entity here as well. So the whole information is loaded here, and you can traverse this really, really easily.
Have we got any other questions? Antonio, do you want to jump back to that page with your links?
Yep.
That might be where we finish. If nobody's got any other questions.
Yeah. Actually, if also I didn't mention that before, but if you are curious about how I am making how I reading the IFC file, because this is something that is called parsing the IFC file, like taking a text file and read it in memory, or being able to interpret the information that it has. There's a page in the GitHub repository of IFC.js that I want to update, but is still valid, which is the contributing. Okay, this is the main page of the repository, like ag/viegas/ifc.js. And here, if you go to contributing, you will find useful information about the library, the general architecture, about how all of this works, the different parts that it has. Again, this has to be updated because the library has changed a little bit since I made this file, but yeah. And here you will find also a really or a more detailed explanation about how things work under the hood, how IFC works, how do I retrieve the information that an IFC contains. And also here you will find a lot of useful links if you wanna, for example, before I started this library, I didn't know how a parser works or what a parser is. So here you will find links that will help you find out how parsing works, how, I mean, what it, yeah, all the concepts that you need to get started with this, and yeah, here this is this is full of rabbit holes. You will find a lot of useful links with different things here. And obviously, I always say it, but do not hesitate to ask. I have set up the Discord channel because I feel that commenting something in GitHub for someone that is not a developer might be a bit intimidating, because I don't know, this is my experience. Like coming here and creating an issue, or going to the discussions and creating a new discussion, this might be a little daunting for non-programmers. So for that reason, if you are more comfortable with chat-like applications, you can just go to the link that I put in the chat, and in the Discord channel you can talk with us in really informal way, and yeah, ask me whatever you need.
Great. I think that might be it for today then.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for being here, you guys. Thanks very much for your time, Antonio.
Yeah, anytime.
Now we'll see if we've got a recording that works this time.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Great.
Shall I?
Thanks for coming, people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. See you again. See you around in the Discord channel, hopefully.